Panthers need to win this. Unfortunately, they lose their third consecutive game, 24-17. Despite the fact that Newton had an 8-yard touchdown pass to Christian McCaffrey in the first quarter, and the fact that he got them out of a 14-point deficit with a 92-yard drive, culminating with a 10-yard touchdown catch to Devin Funchess, still didn't matter. At the end of the day, Panthers lost their third consecutive game, and now they're really, they're really in a bad situation, and they need to really step it up and pick things up. Otherwise, they're going to miss the postseason. I don't think Riverboat Ron will be fired because of this, I think he still is a good coach for this organization. It's just, unfortunately, he did make one terrible mistake in the Lions game, I'll admit. Otherwise, I think overall, despite these losses, he's the right guy for the coaching job. And McCaffrey has been really lightning in a bottle this season for the organization. But the Buccaneers winning this game, this is more like spoiler for them. Otherwise, Dirk Cutter's job is not going to be saved with Tampa Bay. And Peyton Barber, stop losing fumbles. Buffalo Bills, Miami Dolphins. You ever hear of a game where one team has more total yardage than another, more time of possession than the other, more efficiency on third down than the other, yet that team that has the most in those categories loses? Well, that's what the Buffalo Bills did in every imaginable way. I mean, they had a 17-14 lead at one point, and yet all of a sudden, Jordan Phillips drawing bad penalties, including taunting penalties, pushing Kenyon Drake's leg away, and on top of which, just yelling at his team, talking tough to them, because Jordan Phillips was pissed off that the Dolphins let him go back in Week 8, and he just couldn't get over it. Well, you know what? You're a professional. People get let go. You have to deal with things like that, Jordan. I'm sorry that they did let you go. Maybe they didn't think you were the right person for the team. But here's the thing. You got picked up by a team. So be happy, all right? You know how many people out there wish they could be playing football, and yet you are, and you're pissing and crying about the fact that the Dolphins, and you want to show them off? Well, you hurt your team by doing that stuff. That's childish. That's stupid. That's immature. Stop it. Otherwise, you know what other general managers are going to see? Sore loser. Not the type of guy we want. Questionable character. Think about that. Let it mull over it. Let it, simmer in your brain. All right, Jordan? Well, unfortunately, Buffalo did lose. The bright spot, however, was Josh Allen, 131 yards rushing on, 35 yards rushing on the day, setting the record for most rushing yards by Buffalo Bills quarterback in a single game for the second consecutive week. And an opportunity at the end on a pass to Charles Clay, and unfortunately Charles could not catch it whatsoever. But I'll be honest, Josh Allen, he underthrew that pass. So he put Clay in an untenable situation trying to make that catch. So it was a bad play from the beginning. Anyway, Dolphins win 21-17. Bills are assured of a 500 worst season for the 16th time in the last 19 years. As for the Dolphins right now at 6-6, slim playoff hopes. Ravens-Falcons, Lamar Jackson, third consecutive start, leads his team to a 26-16 victory on the day, including the only offensive touchdown on an 8-yard keeper to the right side near the pylon. Boom, shakalaka. And a few field goals by Justin Tucker, 26-16. The only bright side on the day for the Falcons was a 74-yard fumble, 6 recovery by, of all people, Vic Beasley, who was so out of breath, but he still managed to put the ball between the goal posts and celebrate. But for the Falcons right now, this is a team that's going to be missing the postseason for the second year in a row. They need to get rid of Steve Sarkisian. His offensive play calling is just offensive by all means. Cardinals, Packers. On the day, Josh Rosen gets, on the day, rookie Chase Edmonds gets 2 rushing touchdowns by the Arizona Cardinals. It's It's 17 all, even after Aaron Rodgers leads a 95-yard game-tying drive leading to the 8-yard rushing touchdown by Aaron Jones. It's tied at 17 all. Crosby has a chance to kick it wide. Crosby has a chance to get a field goal and a victory for the Packers. Misses wide right, kicking into the the win. Unfortunately, at the time, Stan Gonzalez gets the game-winning 44-yard field goal for the Cardinals as time with about a minute 41 to go. Cardinals beat the Packers 2017. The last time the Cardinals won in the great state of Wisconsin, Harry Truman was president of the U.S., 1949. Right there. That's when they were the Chicago Cardinals. Otherwise, it was just a moral victory for them. The fact that they can say, hey, we won against a team that's not San Francisco. Otherwise, it's not going to improve their playoff positioning. As for the Packers, that was the final nail in their coffin. They're going to be missing the playoffs for the second straight year, it looks like. And with that, of course, McCarthy got fired. Joe Philbin's now going to be an interim head coach. Redskins, Eagles. Wentz tosses 2 touchdowns on the day. Darren Sproles with a big touchdown run. The unfortunate injury of Colt McCoy in the first half. Broken right tibia. He's sorry if I mispronounced that. He's done for the year. And of all people to be your starting quarterback, Mark Sanchez. I'm a Jet fan. Let me tell you, first 2 years was a picnic. The rest, an utter disaster, including a butt fumble. For you fans of the Pig Snouts, I feel for you, Washington. I really do feel for you. It's 3 quarterbacks in the last 4 weeks that they have gone through right now. And I don't even know who the backup to Mark Sanchez is because they need a backup. And the reason this keeps happening is O-line is so poor. They've been injured and hurt. They cannot protect their quarterback from having a season-ending leg injury. The only bright spot was when Sanchez came to the game. He handed the ball off to Adrian Peterson. He went 90 yards down the middle for a touchdown. That's the longest run of his entire career and the longest rushing touchdown given up by the Eagles in their franchise history. Otherwise, Eagles won 28-13. Jets had a 16-0 lead in Music City over the Tennessee Titans. Could not maintain it. And it really bothers me that the Titans were able to make some big strides in the second half, pair of field goals by Ryan Suckup in the fourth quarter, and then the Titans forced the Jets to punt the ball with 1:46 to go. The Jets have a 22-19 lead. They couldn't get they should have ran the ball, tried to kill the clock, but of course, Jeremy Bates, the genius play caller that he is as offensive coordinator, decides, let's pass the ball. Did not work whatsoever. Ball's given back to Mariota and company. He goes on a nice run on this drive, gets face masked by Tremaine Johnson. That's a 15-yard penalty at the end of that run that that led to actually a fumble, which the Jets could have recovered, but even if they did, ball would have went back to the Titans anyway. 3 plays later, after that said run and fumble, Mariota finds Corey Davis in the middle of the end zone for the game-sealing winning touchdown. 26-22. Titans win over the Jets. Pathetic. The New York Jets are a pathetic organization. I'm a fan of this team. And what's pathetic is their defense. Tremaine Johnson, during this losing streak, has given up some big plays. What's pathetic is the offense with McCown as quarterback now this year. He is basically returning to the quarterback that no team wanted to even sign whatsoever except the New York Jets. At this point, I welcome Davis Webb under center over McCown, unless Darnold, if he's even healthy, who knows? And if I'm the Jets, I would just shelve Darnold for the rest of the year, let him try and get healthy for next season, and let Davis Webb at least get some snaps. What do you got to lose at this point at 3-9? As for the Titans, they have now won 2 consecutive. I'll get into that game in a second. Now, the Bears-Giants, of course, the Giants nearly blew a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter, including giving up the Chicago special, Tarek Cohen touchdown at the end of the day, in the fourth quarter to Anthony Miller. The rookie, as time expires, it's 27-all. Eventually, of course, in overtime, Saquon Barkley goes on a nice run. Alec Rosas, 44-yard field goal, and that's all she wrote. That's the games of week number 13. Now I'm going to go into the games of week 14. Starting off with Thursday night game, Jaguars-Titans. Derrick Henry, remarkable performance. 6'3", 247-pounder. Not only does he get a NFL record-tying 99-yard touchdown run, which he ran to the right, unbelievable. 4 touchdowns on the game, 238 yards on 16 carries, helping the Titans to a 39 victory over the Jaguars. Enough said right there. Jaguars are just 8 out of 9 losses right there. Their season's pretty much done. Now, let's go to in the neighborhood. Giants, Redskins. On the road, the Giants will win this game. Reason being, it's Mark Sanchez quarterbacking the Redskins, and that O-line that can't protect anybody. The only way the Redskins can win is if they control the time possession, you pound the rock to AP all day, but that's what the Giants defense wants you to do. They're going to line 8 people in the box. There's no way AP is going to have that type of day. They're going to force Sanchez to try and throw the ball, and we've seen what happens with him. He's a turnover walking on 2 legs, so expect the Giants to win and get some turnovers, and I'm saying 5 sacks on the day. Alec Ogletree, I think, will get another interception. 3rd and 2 weeks it will be. Now, Jets, Bills. I was at that sad, pitiful game which the Jets hosted the Bills with my mother. I love, of course, going to a football game with my mom. Otherwise, this game was just terrible, and they lost 41-10. And that was all she wrote at that point due to some really bad sorry, folks. A little annoying when you have that in your ear while you're trying to talk football. Now, as for this particular game, I definitely have the Bills winning this one. I think, Josh, they were better than the Dolphins last week. If it wasn't for those badly timed turnovers and penalties, they would have won the game. So, therefore, I definitely have the New York Jets losing to the Bills, and the season and their postseason hopes will go up in smoke. Now, Rams, Bears, Sunday Night Football. 2 premier defensive ends who were the talk of the offseason, both with huge $160+ million contracts. You got Aaron Donald leading the league, who has 16.5 sacks, several forced fumble recoveries, and then you got Khalil Mack, who for the first 4 weeks of the year had a sack and a forced fumble. Whoever wins the battle, whoever is the best defensive player of the 2, their team will win. I got the Rams. And the reason, if it's Chase Daniel yet again for the Bears against this Rams defense, you don't stand a chance. Even with all the fancy play calling they had last week and nearly come back, there's a difference between the Giants and the Rams. Monumental difference this year. So I definitely got the Rams winning. Now, Sunday night, Eagles, Cowboys. I got to find my Cowboys flag at home somewhere. This is America's Game of the Week, featuring what some people call America's team. Debatable, but still the Cowboys this year are really hitting their stride right now. This is a fight for the NFC East right here. Who wins it? Dallas losing 27-20. So if Dallas loses again, not only do the Eagles sweep the Cowboys, but they basically have a leg up on the division. The last thing the Cowboys want happening to them. And with the injuries that have happened to the cornerbacks for the Eagles this year, I'm thinking Amari Cooper, and this time with Amari Cooper actually playing for the Cowboys this time around, I got the Cowboys winning. Definitely got the Cowboys winning this game at home. I think it's going to be 2 Ezekiel Elliott touchdown runs on the day. Then we got a huge matchup right here. Ravens-Chiefs. Let me tell you, this one right here, the Ravens need to win to maintain their hold of the sixth and final playoff seeding in the AFC picture. The Chiefs need to win this game to stave off the Chargers before the Week 15 clash on Thursday Night Football. If I'm the Chiefs' defense is porous, though. That's the problem. Against the number... Yeah. But the Ravens' offense has been really thriving with Lamar Jackson under center these last 3 weeks. The game that we're going to be looking at is the Chiefs' number one scoring offense versus the Ravens' number one scoring defense. Winner of that wins the match in one of the toughest environments at Arrowhead Stadium. I got Patrick Mahomes and company. No offense to the Ravens. Look at the teams that they played beforehand. This is a much different caliber of team that they're playing this week. It will definitely be competitive scoring-wise, but I think at the end of the day, Mahomes will pull out in the fourth quarter. Pull out ahead for them in the fourth quarter. So I definitely have the Chiefs winning. Now, Monday Night Football. The 5th and 6th seeded teams, the 2 wildcard teams in the NFC playoff picture. Monday Night Football, Emerald City, Kirk Cousins, Russell Wilson. 2 premier quarterbacks going up against each other. And Cousins has been worth every single penny of that fully guaranteed $84 million 3-year contract. Russell Wilson, on the other hand, is just a great, reliable quarterback and is a good general under center, that's for sure. Who wins this match? What will it come down to, on the other hand? I think this will definitely come down to the Vikings secondary trying to go. Actually, it will come down to the Seahawks secondary forming a game plan against the toughest wide receiving duo of the Vikings, Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs, both over a combined 1,900 receiving yards on the year. If Shaquem Griffin and the rest of that secondary can come up with a masterful plan to basically stifle those two, you will win this game. And again, talk about another tough environment. Just like Kansas City, Seattle is one of the toughest environments to play in. They don't call it the home of the 12th man for no reason. The fans play a monumental impact because the noise is so deafening, it hurts the opposing offense or defense from trying to come up with any play, especially the opposing offense trying to get a play formulated. I definitely have the Seahawks pulling out this one. Patriots on the road against the Dolphins. Ryan Tannehill has been successful at home against the Patriots. On the road, on the other hand, week 4, they got their butts handed them 38-7. And there's one person who's going to want to get in some licks against this former team. Danny Amendola for the Dolphins is going to want to get some touchdowns against the Patriots and show them, why'd you get rid of me? Even though, again, that's what happens in football. Some teams, you stay on a team or you don't stay in a team. It happens. It's unfortunate, but that's the way the NFL works. Now, let's hope he doesn't do the same thing Jordan Phillips did last week and taunt the Patriots and cause the Dolphins to be penalized. That would be stupid. But he's not a stupid person, Danny Amendola, like Phillips was. So I don't think he'll do something like that. Now, as for the game itself, the Dolphins are going to have to really come up with some good exotic blitz coverage schemes against Brady. And I could see Cameron Wake making life a little difficult for Brady. But at the end of the day, when you still have Gronkowski and you have Josh Gordon at your disposal and a running back by committee and bend but don't break defense, the Patriots are a complete team, and they're going to completely demolish the Dolphins and win yet their umpteenth AFC East championship. AFC East division title. So there we go. Colts, Texans, AFC South battle. The Texans, the hottest team in the league, coming up, trying to go for consecutive win number 10. Probably one of the best stories of the 2018 season. Can they do it this week? They're going up against a Colts team that couldn't beat the Jaguars, that couldn't score a single point. It was the first time in 8 weeks in which Andrew Luck didn't have multiple touchdowns whatsoever. Several chances they had for field goals, and yet nothing. And even a game-winning drive didn't materialize. This team is a hell of a lot different than the Texans, especially when you got J.J. Watt coming in your backfield. I'm sorry, man, but I got the Colts losing this week. Texans, number 10, look out for 2 touchdown grabs by Demaryius Thomas. Buccaneers, Bengals. Actually, not Buccaneers, Bengals. Sorry, Saints, Bengals. Fortunately, I still am looking for the Saints flag, too. This is an NFC South rivalry matchup. The Saints are coming off that Thursday night win. Need to rebound right now to keep their lead going and to maintain their hold on the number 2 seed in the NFC playoff picture. The Buccaneers right now are still mathematically in it. They need to win out, and they're going to need some help along the way and hope that the other teams fall apart. That's asking for a lot right there. If the Buccaneers follow the same formula that Cowboys did, basically blitz heavy on Drew Brees, get right in his face, stop his receivers from scoring in bunches, yeah, you win. But this Buccaneers defense, other than Levante David, the secondary is a complete, utter mess. I think this is the week where Brees emphatically destroys them with 5 touchdowns. I got the Saints winning, hands down. Now, the right matchup for the Bengals. They got the LA Chargers in a soccer stadium in Carson, California. This Bengals team is, on their second quarterback, Jeff Driscoll. He's not Andy Dalton. And you're asking him to go up against the Chargers defense led by, Joey Bosa back in the helm and Melvin Ingram in their defensive front. And you're asking the Bengals defense that at one point gave up 3 consecutive games of 500-plus yards to the opposing offense to stop the likes of Phillip Rivers, who had a masterful win last week in Pittsburgh. Are you kidding me? No way. This Bengals team is down for the count. And now without A.J. Green for the rest of the year, they have little, if any, offense whatsoever. I got the Chargers definitely winning this game. Falcons, Packers. This is a game of 2 teams whose seasons are pretty much over. The nails have already been put in their respective coffins. Now we're going to see what Joe Philbin can do for the Packers in his first game as head coach of the organization against a Falcons team that is on a 4-game losing streak and unfortunately has had to suffer the season without Devonta Freeman in the backfield and several bad mistakes. And a lot of the loss they've had were winnable games. Well, that shoulda, coulda, woulda doesn't exist in the NFL. It's you win, you lose, or you tie. That's all there is to it. And as for the Falcons, in this week against the Packers, I got the Packers emphatically winning. I'm thinking Aaron Jones is going to go on another 100-yard rushing game. And this time, Aaron Rodgers will call the plays that he likes with Philbin, not what McCarthy and him couldn't get along on. It's kind of sad, though, what they did to McCarthy, but he's going to be a head coach somewhere next year. Now, Lions, Cardinals. Oh, my. In the desert. These are 2 teams that are pretty much out of the playoffs. I definitely have, I have the Lions winning this by default, honestly, because both teams are terrible and both teams are not that good this year. And the Lions, without Golden Tate, trading him was a bad decision on their part. Kenny Golladay and Theo Riddick and Kerryon Johnson, all the offense they really have. Otherwise, Stafford, 2 consecutive weeks, he's thrown an interception in the end zone. Please stop doing that. And hearing talk of Stafford not being the quarterback, what are you, out of your mind? He is their QB for going into the future. Yes, he's had several weeks of mistakes, but remember, this was the same dude who had, in one season, 8 fourth-quarter overtime victories under his belt. So he can get a team back into prominence. Now, Panthers, Browns, in Cleveland. I think Cam Newton and company are going to definitely come back this week, get that much-needed victory. This is a Browns team that right now has a good young nucleus for the future. So a head coach, I think, will be enticed with this organization. Who would have said enticed and Cleveland Browns in the same sentence for a head coach? I never thought those words would come out of my mouth, but they have some good receivers and a great young running back in Nick Chubb and Antonio Callaway, heck of a receiver to throw to. So, but this time around, this week, Christian McCaffrey is going to go roughshod over that Browns defense. Next game right here, Broncos 49ers. You're thinking of that Super Bowl in which Joe Montana led the 49ers to a 55-10 victory. Well, we're fast-forwarding to the present, and the present, the 49ers are not that team. Not the West Coast offense that they had back in the day. Yeah, it's not that same organization. And the Broncos right now are really winning and getting hot at the best time. So I definitely think the Broncos and Philip Lindsay, I think he's going to have another 150-yard rushing performance. Look out for the Broncos this week. Finally, Steelers, Raiders. The last time ever in the Oakland Coliseum before the Raiders go to the desert of Las Vegas. Still a mistake that they're going to Las Vegas, honestly. Stay in Oakland. The fans enjoy that stadium. It's just Oakland needs to build a new stadium. They won't. So that's why, when a city entices you with a new arena, economic growth development packages, believe me, you're gonna leave to go to that place in a heartbeat, in a New York minute. Well, in a Las Vegas minute in their regard. For this particular game right here, the Steelers are going to be going to 2 running backs that have not had the rock as much as James Conner this season. So you're really asking a lot of Stephen Ridley and the rookie Jalen Samuels. Samuels has to step up and get this Steelers team out of the funk that they're in the last 2 weeks. They need to win to maintain whatever lead they have in the AFC North, or they could be falling by the wayside in the weeks to come. That's the last thing the Steelers want, and I don't think that will happen because we're talking about the Oakland Raiders. Even though they nearly came back to beat the Chiefs last week, they still are a terrible defensive team. And Derek Carr this year, overall, I'm not talking – last week was his best performance he had in weeks. Overall, a shell of what he was 2 years ago. Steelers. That's all your games week 14. Before we end the show, just want to make some theatrical announcements. Congratulations to In the Wings on their second weekend of Annie. Performances today, right in a few minutes, tomorrow night and Sunday at Snug Harbor Music Hall. Staten Island Shakespeare Company on the 10th rendition of Jacob Marley's Ghost. 10 performances. First one was last night. They'll have one tonight, 2 tomorrow, 1 on Sunday, and the same thing for next week. All at the Conference House on Highland Boulevard, all the way on the South Shore. You can't get any closer to the edge of the island than that, and it's a beautiful place. Definitely go see it. And for all my people at Seaview Playwrights, awesome organization. They're putting on reunion for this weekend only, today, tomorrow, and Sunday. That's at Seaview Playwrights there on the campus of Seaview Hospital. And also, Staten Island Academy of Performing Arts will be doing Christmas songs tomorrow night at St. Mary's Episcopal, 347 Davis Avenue. So for all the hardworking men and women of CTV, from Mr. Kenny Graham and Jamie Hickson behind the booth, I'm Eric Rosen. I'll see you next week for another episode of the Blitz Zone here on CTV. Good night, Staten Island. Peace and love. Peace and love.